When the EPR mode is engaged, the auto throttle maintains the power setting selected from the thrust mode select panel, in this case, takeoff. The takeoff thrust limit is automatically selected on the ground when electrical power is applied to the system. The thrust mode select panel is covered in the power plant lesson. The EPR mode is normally engaged for takeoff. To obtain takeoff thrust, advance the throttles to at least 1.1 EPR. Then press the EPR switch, which will cause both throttles to advance to the takeoff thrust setting. The first engine to reach the selected thrust setting will cause both throttles to stop moving. Should a throttle lag, it can be manually adjusted without disengaging the auto throttles. When 80 knots is reached, the auto throttle defaults to the sub-mode throttle hold. During throttle hold, the servo is de-energized to allow both throttles to be set manually for thrust adjustments. The throttles can also be manually retarded for an aborted takeoff. However, if throttles are retarded prior to 80 knots, they return to the takeoff power setting. After takeoff, normally at 1,000 feet AGL, flight level change is selected for engagement, which re-energizes the auto throttle servo. Flight level change is used to perform climbs and descents at a constant speed. Constant speed is maintained with pitch changes by the autopilot or flight director. During a flight level change climb, the auto throttle will observe the selected EPR limit. During a flight level change descent, the auto throttle initially reduces thrust to idle. The idle position is automatically adjusted to provide adequate bleed air for anti-ice position. During a flight level change, climb, or descent, if the throttles are manually repositioned, the auto throttle defaults to throttle hold. This allows the throttles to be manually repositioned as needed. The speed mode is selected by pressing the speed switch. With the speed mode engaged, the auto throttle maintains the selected MCP speed while not exceeding the selected thrust limit. The fast-slow indicator on each ADI normally displays a deviation between actual airspeed and the selected MCP speed. The selected MCP speed is also indicated by the command airspeed bug. The square pointer represents actual airspeed with a deviation range of 10 knots fast to 10 knots slow. In this example, the actual airspeed is 5 knots fast. During a go-around, the auto throttle maintains go-around power determined by the thrust management computer. During such a go-around, the auto throttle reduces thrust if the flap and VMO limits are approached. Use of the auto throttle during an autopilot or flight director go-around is covered later in the lesson. Automatic speed limit protection is provided for flap placard, max operating, and minimum safe speeds, which the ADIs enunciate with green text. The minimum safe speed, called alpha, is approximately 1.3 stall as determined by angle of attack. A limit enunciation appears in place of the engaged throttle mode. If the selected speed exceeds a limit, which then is approached, the limit is enunciated on the ADI. If the limit is exceeded, the ADI fast-slow indicator changes to amber and the deviation pointer begins flashing. This indicates that the pointer is now referenced to the speed limit, which the auto throttle will attempt to maintain. Alpha will not be enunciated when wind shear is detected. However, the autopilot flight director will attempt to maintain the alpha speed, which is referenced to the fast-slow pointer. If a speed limit is approached, manual intervention will be required when the auto throttle is not engaged and the autopilot flight director is not operating in flight level change or go-around. This situation is indicated by green FS text appearing on the auto throttle status line. The auto throttle can be manually disconnected in one of two ways: by either pressing the disconnect switch located on the throttles, or by moving the auto throttle arm switch to off. An automatic disconnect occurs when either engine is reversed or when a system fault is detected by the thrust management computer. A disconnect for any reason causes an amber auto throttle disconnect light to illuminate, and an associated ICAS caution alert appears. The master caution system is inhibited during thrust reverser operation after an automatic landing to prevent distractions.